Again, thank you all for coming. I'm Debbie Simmons, president of the Broadview board. The invitation that you received to our meeting today indicated that you would hear reports on transitions, renewal, and progress. So I have the starting off point with transitions. We have several transitions to share with you today. First off, earlier in the year, Laura Armstrong, the director of our visiting Christian Science nurse service, indicated her desire to step down from her role as director. So we want to say thank you to Laura. I know she's here. Where are you, Laura?
There you go, Laura.
She's continuing to work for us, just not as director. So we're grateful for that. We're delighted to introduce Patty Turner, our new director of the Visiting Christian Science Nurse Service. You'll hear a little bit more from Patty in a few minutes. In June, Michael Fisher, our executive director for the past 12 years, notified the board that he would be leaving Broadview to take a position with 10 Acre Foundation. In spite of the fact that we told him we had much nicer weather here, he decided to make the move. Since Michael's departure, we've been blessed with a wonderful interim director, Mark Sherlow. Where are you hiding, Mark? Thank you, Mark. And last but not least, 3 weeks ago, Kendall Tuchkova, our development director, submitted her resignation so that she could move to Oklahoma to be with her husband who's serving in the military. We couldn't persuade her to change her mind either, so Kendall, are you here? She's in the back. The board is continuing its search for a new executive director as well as a new development director, and a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But first, we'll focus on some of the renewal and healing that's occurring here at Broadview. So we'll have some presentations from our staff.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Melanie Peterson. I'm the co-director of Christian Science Nursing, along with Janie Jordan, the co-director of Christian Science Nursing here at Broadview. As you may be aware, there's been a lot of thought and attention given to the second-generation disciples and second-generation Christian Scientists in the past year. As I considered these contributions of these souls, my thought kept coming back to our family of Broadview Christian Science nurses. It seems remarkable to me that there are so many families who have worked and who continue to work here. And indeed, we think of our nursing staff as family. I would like to introduce them to you today. These wonderful Christian Science nurses either inspired a second generation to become Christian Science nurses, or were inspired by their parents to become Christian Science nurses themselves. Meet Hardy Soprapto. Hardy is in his second year of training and is a wonderful addition to our family. Hardy is leaving Monday for Fern Lodge, a Christian Science nursing facility in Castro Valley, California, to participate in the AOCSN, that is, the Association of Organizations for Christian Science Nursing, Education Committee Cross-Training Program. He'll be at Fern Lodge for a week, learning new skills there and sharing things as he's learned here with them. This is Hardian, Winar, and Lou Soprapto. I have had the pleasure of working with all three Sopraptos at Broadview. Coming to the United States from the Philippines, their training was at Sunland Home in Chestnut Hill. And after working several years at Broadview, Hardy's parents went on to do private duty CS nursing in the field. Melanie Clifford Pilignetta, sitting right here. Melanie's a 12-year Broadview veteran, starting out here in the housekeeping department, and then going on to complete all 4 levels of Christian Science nurses training. A journalistic nurse, Christian Science nurse, she is our manager of Christian Science nursing education and works closely with the AOCSN, mentioned before, Education Committee, which supports Christian Science nurses training both in CS nursing facilities and in the field. Meet Lynn Clifford. Melanie's mother, Lynn, worked for many years at Sheltering Wing in Dwarty and in the field as a private duty Christian Science nurse. Meet Mary Newton. Mary received her training at Ardenwood and Chestnut Hill in Massachusetts. A journalistic Christian Science nurse, she's one of our trusted mentors and floor leaders. Floor leader is our term for supervisor. Here is a picture of Sarah Leach and Mary. Mary's mom, Sarah, received all 4 levels of training at 10 Acre in New Jersey as a journalistic Christian Science nurse and also a mentor and floor leader at Broadview. After working several years on staff at Broadview, Sarah and Mary now work as contract Christian Science nurses, returning to our fold 2 to 3 times a year. Jane Hamilton. This is Sarah Leach's mother and Mary Newton's grandmother. This makes Sarah a 2nd generation Christian Science nurse and Mary 3rd generation. Jane, a journalistic Christian Science nurse herself, received her training and worked at Wide Horizon in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Hyacinth McLeod. I'm sure many of you know Hyacinth. Hyacinth received all her training here at Broadview and is a journalistic Christian Science nurse. She's been here 9 years, serving both as Christian Science nurse and one of our floor leaders. Here's Hyacinth, her mom. Hyacinth's mother, Norma Hyacinth, trained at 10 Acre and worked at High Ridge House in New York and in the field as a private duty Christian Science nurse. Her mom is here today if you want to say hi. Here is Alicia Quintanilla and Delmy Menendez. Alicia and Delmy are sisters who came to the United States from El Salvador, where they don't represent 1st and 2nd generations. They are a close-knit family of Christian Science nurses who got their training at Broadview. Alicia is a journalistic Christian Science nurse, and Delmy is currently working to complete her Level 3 training. Both sisters have worked at Broadview for over a decade. Here is Sporna Siameja. Representing Zambia, the amazing Siamages are the only Christian Science nurses from Zambia working in the United States today. Matriarch Fornis, a journalistic Christian Science nurse, received all her training at 10 Acre and is a Broadview mentor and floor leader. We talk about Christian Science nurses being ready to serve in season and out of season. Fornis is the epitome of readiness and ability to serve her fellow man. Here are Maguna and Chalufia Siameja. Maguna received his training at Broadview and 10 Acre and has been a frequent contract nurse at Broadview, who we love to welcome back during vacation breaks from his college education. This year, he earned his master's degree in business administration and analytics at Daniels University in Denver, Colorado, and he's currently working as a Level 3 Christian Science nurse at Wide Horizon in Colorado. Daughter Chalufia received Levels 1, 2, and 3 training here at Broadview. Chalufia graduated from Principia College and is currently in school in Arizona working towards her CPA. Menenge Siameja lives in Illinois and is working as a Christian Science nurse at Peace Haven in St. Louis, Missouri. That's quite a family. We're so happy to have our association with them. Janie Jordan, right here. Janie, co-director of Christian Science Nursing at Broadview, received all 4 levels of Christian Science Nursing training at Broadview. Prior to becoming co-director, Janie worked her way up the ranks on all 3 shifts, that's day, evening, and overnight, working as floor leader and mentor to our Broadview trainees. Here's Jennifer Jones. Janie's daughter, Jennifer, received Level 1 training at Broadview. She earned her BA in Ethnic Studies from Cal State Fullerton and currently stage manages and performs for local opera companies. Here are Gloria and Elizabeth Beasley. Gloria Beasley received her Level 1, 2, and 3 training here at Broadview. She has been Christian Science nursing with us since 2014. Daughter Elizabeth trained as a nursing floor assistant here and worked at Broadview during her summer breaks as she worked towards her Bachelor's of Education and getting her California teaching certificate at Cal State Los Angeles. Here's meet Crystal Bernauer. Crystal, a journalistic Christian Science nurse, received her training from Broadview and Chestnut Hill in Massachusetts. A new mother, she may be on leave from Christian Science nursing duties here at Broadview, but she and baby David grace our halls every day while Dad Donovan, also journalisted, works on our floor as a Christian Science nurse, floor leader, and Christian Science nursing office support, in addition to maintenance and IT support throughout Broadview. We're so grateful for this family to be here. Here is Crystal with her parents, Craig and Shirley. Father Craig Musselwhite received his Christian Science nurses training at Ardenwood, went on to work at Broadview, and then as a private duty nurse in the field. In addition, the Musselwhites ran a small Christian Science boarding care home in Palm Springs in the late 1980s. Meet the Bernauers, Crystal, Donovan, and baby David. And they're all here, so you can meet them today. Last of all, here's our potential next generation of Broadview Christian Science nurses. This photo was taken at our Broadview family Christmas party. May I introduce, from left to right, Ruth, Linda Ojiaku's daughter. Linda's a journalistic Christian Science nurse here. Nadia, daughter of Deborah Messmer, who was our former co-director of Christian Science nursing. Next is Samantha, Delmy Menendez's granddaughter, my grandson, Daniel, and last of all, Maya, daughter of Melanie Pilaneta. So we're grateful for all these wonderful nurses and families who've graced our floor here at Broadview. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Janie Jordan, and I'm co-director of nursing co-director of Christian Science nursing along with Melanie Peterson. And when I think of second generation Christian Science, I think of my family. As you may have heard from me previously, my mother was a Baptist all her life, but really she was a closet Christian Scientist. Our family had many healings in science. I recently returned from home visiting my brothers and sisters in Illinois. And the feeling I had in their homes was a great sense of peace. My family has gone through the usual trials that most people have gone through, but it has not taken away their peace. And I am attributing this to my mother's love and prayers in science. It reminds me of a couple of sayings in the Bible. Thank you, Melanie. Where Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till the whole was leavened. And in Matthew, in John we have, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me, and the glory which thou gavest me I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. And I have declared unto them thy name, and will declare it, that the love wherewith thou hast loved me may be in them, and I in them.
Good morning, my name is Melanie Pilaneta. I'm the manager of Christian Science Nursing Education here at Broadview. As we hear today about the incredible healing work done by the students of Christian Science, I'd like to share with you some of the incredible individuals who've supported and contributed to Broadview's education program this year, how they do their healing work, and what we can learn from them. This year, in January, I held a Level 2 class with Hardy and Soprapto. He graduated Level 2 in March. Hardy has a gentle and a calm presence that he supplements with humor, and he brings such a joy to the work that he does. Hardy supports every individual that he cares for here with love and patience. Hardy took to Level 2 very well. He was able to pick up on the skills necessary for his advancement to Level 3 much quicker than anyone ever anticipated. But it was a blessing that we waited and gave him the opportunity to really cherish his time as a Level 2 Christian Science nurse and to polish his ministry. Bonnie Casterman, the manager of Christian Science nursing activities at the Mother Church in Boston, Massachusetts, came in February to talk with the Christian Science nursing staff about journal listing requirements, and we did a workshop dedicated to practitioners and teachers of Christian Science, as well as whoever was interested in what it really takes to be a Christian Science nurse. Bonnie has an unfailing support to all the students of Christian Science nursing. She really invests herself completely in the progress of all Christian Science nursing students. She takes her job very seriously, and her love for Christian Science nursing shines through her work with the Mother Church. Penny Swank, the Director of Christian Science Nursing Education at Peace Haven in St. Louis, Missouri, was a guest speaker for our Mother and Infant Care workshop here at Broadview. Penny has a wealth of knowledge about caring for mothers who are expecting and caring for infants, stemming from her longtime ministry of Christian Science nursing. I'm so grateful for her willingness to share her expertise with my students and our community. Her workshop touched on the basic aspects of what she teaches in her Mother and Infant Care class. I found this workshop an amazing opportunity for my students to get a glimpse of what a Mother and Infant Care class would look like, and also so that they could decide for themselves if they wanted to pursue that avenue in their ministry. It was a perfect way to introduce the concepts and an answer to prayer as whether I would need to offer that particular class to my students. Later in the year, we had a get-together with parents to talk about how to parent with confidence as a Christian Scientist. This workshop was the first of its kind, and my hope is that Broadview can continue to reach out to the community and to answer questions, reassure, and facilitate connections. This summer, we had an intern for the Christian Science nursing floor, Hannah Rackham, who was here at Broadview to satisfy her requirements for Christian Science National Leadership Council. She also helped Tracy in the activities department. I feel that everyone has the capacity to be an example, and Hannah taught me that the younger generation is not without dedication and maturity. She has all the necessary qualities of a Christian Science nurse: cheerful, orderly, punctual, patient, full of faith, receptive to truth, and love. Her presence on the Christian Science nursing floor was a constant source of joy. The focus this year has been less about training and more about staff development. We are excited to introduce classes at Broadview for our Christian Science nurses, which will help them continue their ministry and advance them into other levels. Thank you. The Albert Baker Fund has been gracious to support our staff with this endeavor. We will be starting communication enhancement classes this month as a result. The Albert Baker Fund has been a wonderful financial support for Christian Science nursing students. The mission of the Albert Baker Fund, to serve the cause of Christian Science and humanity by providing resources for the education and development of Christian Scientists, is a demonstration of selflessness and progress. They have so much love for Christian Science and such a willingness to give and support. I'm so grateful for the healing work done by each of these individuals and the examples that they continue to set for future Christian Scientists.
Good morning. I'm Patty Turner, and I'm going to talk about what's new with Broadview's Visiting Christian Science Nurse Service. First off, we have had and do have new staff. Last October, a friend and a fellow Christian Science nurse, Emily Smith, moved from Boston, Massachusetts to California with her husband and toddler, and for several months teamed up with Laura Armstrong to provide 7-day-a-week coverage in Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties, with Laura as a full-time Christian Science nurse and director of Broadview's Visiting Christian Science Nurse Service, and with Emily as the regular relief Christian Science nurse, serving on Laura's days off and during holidays and vacation periods. It was answered prayer, to be sure. Then Emily's husband got a job at Principia, and she and her sweet family moved to the Midwest. But mother love neither creates nor allows vacuums. Mary Baker Eddy assures us in Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures that divine love always has met and always will meet every human need, including this one. As you know, Laura loves this visiting nurse service and has ably served as its director and full-time Christian Science nurse for 28 years. But as she was about to welcome her first grandbaby into the family and was relishing her new role as a soon-to-be grandma, which she has now fulfilled, her deep desire to continue serving needed expression in a new capacity. A mutual friend of hers and mine let me know that Laura was looking to retire from her position as director, which opened my thought to new possibilities, including that of no longer having to experience and endure cold and snowy New England winters. With divine love meeting every human need, my decks were soon enough cleared, and I was free to come. I had a deep love of Christian Science visiting nursing from my years serving in that capacity in Connecticut when I was newly journalisted. I came to California in April. I interviewed for the position, and at the end of that month, I accepted the position as Broadview's new Director of Visiting Christian Science Nursing. I moved to Southern California in mid-May. Thank you. I moved to the state in mid-May, fulfilling a desire that I'd been cherishing since 1999, when I assisted an individual to move from her home in Massachusetts to the Willows. I'm now the full-time director, full-time Christian Science nurse, driving a brand new Honda Civic. Thank you, board. And Laura is now my regular relief Christian Science nurse. More answered prayer all around. A further blessing was the addition of Barbara Reap to our staff. In June of this year, her prayers for expanded ways to be of service and our prayers for who might replace Bryn Gray as a visiting Christian Science nurse for the Santa Barbara, Ventura, and San Luis Obispo counties were answered. And Barbara is now working on Wednesdays and Thursdays, fulfilling that role. Not only have we had new staff, but we've serviced 45 new patients, 38 in Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties, and 7 in Santa Barbara, Ventura, and San Luis Obispo counties since last year's annual meeting. As you can well imagine, in order to service such broad territories, the nature of our calls must, of necessity, be relatively short and sweet. Among other things, we can assist new mothers, assess needs, assist with meals, bathing and shampooing, provide nail care, cleanse and bandage wounds, lend equipment, and provide instruction for the proper use of mobility aids. We're an individual faced with a need requiring ongoing care or repeated care throughout the day. The services of a private duty Christian Science nurse or of a Christian Science nursing facility, such as Broadview, would be more appropriate. It is a joy and a privilege to work side by side with all at Broadview, who in their respective roles as Christian Science nurses, administrators, board members, or support staff, are assisting to fulfill our leader's manual bylaw for the Christian Science nurse.
Hello, everyone. We're so happy to have all of you here with us today. My name is Tracy Colerider-Krugh, and I'm the Activities Director and the Volunteer Coordinator here at Broadview. And I must acknowledge the devoted volunteers that bless Broadview regularly. My scheduler, Ron Douglas, and all those that come reading the Bible lesson in the mornings, those who play music and conduct our church services, all those regular volunteers, I really want to thank you. But I also need to recognize the many volunteers that worked on this particular event. And Most of the special touches you'll see around here today were accomplished by the help of volunteers, including many staff members' families. And we worked throughout the week, not just this morning. Regarding activities, this year I had the privilege of expanding my activities into the public sphere when Broadview offered a periodical writing workshop titled "We Must Have a History" on April 8th. And it featured my giving a talk about the reasons why we write for the periodicals. And I was asked to tie in the inspirational work of prolific writer, second-generation Christian Scientist, Helen Wood Bauman. It was a dynamic journey of discovery. Mary Baker Eddy told us to keep track of our healing and inspiration, to have a record of our demonstrations, a spiritual history of Christian Science. The second hour had writing tips, and Suzanne Smedley from the Christian Science Publishing Society joined me in sharing important guidelines. There were 2 follow-up writing sessions, one on May 13th and one on June 17th. Now, there were 3 people that came each time, different people, and we mostly just wrote. And there's been a lot of individual coaching from attendees, the April 8th attendees, via email, and I've had some one-on-one meetings. So far, there's been 3 items I'm aware of published by the April 8th attendees, and 1 participant had a piece posted as a Committee on Publication guest blog. The Broadview in-house Tuesday workshops, which is what inspired the public one, it had 3 more items published since April, making our total 30 since 2006. Several other pieces are in progress. We have 6 working drafts preparing for submission, and there's 5 pieces I know of that have been submitted and are in the editing or waiting for placement at the placement stage at the Christian Science Publishing Society. So that's 11 more going on. It's pretty exciting. And it proves its concept that if you have a support system, if you have someone you're going to be accountable to, it really helps motivate one to write that testimony down that you've been meaning to write, or write again if it's been a while. So Broadview plans to continue this aspect of our Broadview ministry in some form. It's not been determined yet, its exact shape. We may conduct more writing sessions at this location, or we may send me off to do some workshops in the field. But whatever form it takes, it will bless our community because it's a healing activity. And it beautifully and powerfully honors and obeys the 2 great commandments, to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. It also supports us in fulfilling our responsibility of keeping a healing record. Whatever human generation we're a part of, it goes way beyond that. It affirms the timeless, ever-effective science of the Christ and our expression of the eternal now. Thank you.
Thank you all. We are so grateful for the wonderfully capable hands of our nurses and staff, so thank you again. Are there any other Christian Science nurses that are here today? If you could stand up. I know there are some. Stand up to be recognized. Donovan, stand up. Thank you. Thank you all. The third focus of our meeting today is on progress. A wonderful step of progress earlier this year was the launch of the National Fund for Christian Science Nursing. We're grateful today to have Chuck Lindahl, former Broadview Board President and current National Fund Board member, to share more information about this fund.
Thank you, Debbie. It's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to talk about this new fund. But first, I just want to say and ask you how much you love hearing from the folks that are on the front line of Christian Science nursing. One of my favorite parts of Broadview annual meetings. So what is this National Fund for Christian Science Nursing? For many years, a number of us saw the need for some kind of support for people who wanted and needed Christian Science nursing but simply couldn't afford it. They either didn't have insurance, they hadn't enough savings, they just couldn't afford it, and often then chose not to seek out nursing. It is such a sense of gratitude then, after 15 or 20 years of cherishing this idea, to see it come to fruition earlier this year. So I just want to spend a few minutes telling you about what it provides. It is a fund for individuals seeking financial help to pay for Christian Science nursing care and related Christian Science treatment. Second, it is a support to those who are practicing nursing in accord with the Christian Science bylaw that provides for nursing. And finally, it's a gathering place for organizations, churches, and individuals who would like to contribute to a benevolence fund that supports greater accessibility to Christian Science nursing. Now, who is eligible for a grant from this new fund? Individuals who are actively working for Christian Science healing, need Christian Science nursing care, and are unable to pay the full cost of this care are eligible for grants. Recipients must be able to demonstrate a genuine financial need. Grants are available only at this time to residents of this country. Now, this fund provides financial assistance through grants or gifts, not loans. It's available to those receiving nursing care regardless of whether they're in a facility or receiving care in their homes. It began operating on April 5th of this year and has now distributed over $2.6 million in grants. Now, several individual and institutional donors have made this possible. They've provided the funds, and those donors include the Mother Church. The fund is administered by the Principal Foundation, a nonprofit organization that has offered financial support to students of Christian Science for over 50 years. The foundation has set up a simple, user-friendly process for requesting funds. Information and applications are available online. Fortunately, we have the information right here. By the way, also, as you came in, you might have seen there are, I think, 3 different publications on the table, several flyers and a brochure that talk about the fund. So it's available online or by telephone. So whatever way works best for you is available. Now, what can the funds from these grants be used for? First, Christian Science nurse fees. Next, Christian Science nursing facility charges. Christian Science practitioner fees while the patient is receiving nursing care. Nursing supplies and equipment. Transportation to and from a care location, and any other expenses directly related to a patient's Christian Science nursing care. The fund is not intended to pay all of an individual's nursing expenses. Patients are expected to pay as much as they can. Patients can also continue to seek financial support from the Christian Science Nursing Care Endowment for Southern California, which has distributed a total of $1.75 million for nursing care since its establishment in 1996. You may have noticed announcements about the new fund in the Christian Science Sentinel and the Christian Science Journal earlier this spring. That included the Christian Science Board of Directors' endorsement of this fund and the fact that they were providing support for it. 24 Broadview patients have already benefited from this new fund, in addition to those receiving nursing care at their homes throughout this region. Broadview has information about the new fund and how to request assistance. I'm sure they'll be happy to assist you. And if any of you have questions of me, track me down after the meeting today. I'll be happy to try to respond. Thanks again for the opportunity to talk about the new fund.
Thank you, Chuck, and thank you to the fund. As Chuck mentioned, many Broadview patients have already been blessed by this fund, and we are incredibly grateful. I'll be joined now by 3 board members to talk about what I'm calling projects in progress at Broadview. First off, before we talk with Mike Muslin and Ann Cooling and George Birdsong, I just wanted to follow up a little bit regarding the search for our new executive director. Interviews are continuing with respect to that position, and we appreciate the prayerful support of all of you here today as supporters and lovers of Broadview. So thank you for your continued support in that regard. We have more to hear about, again, these projects in progress. Mike will speak to us about plans for this property here, and will address the right sizing or resizing of our facility, and George will address our plans for outreach to Orange County. Mike, you're up first.
What's that going to do? Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. And you know, the rest of the staff members, if you're here and could stand up, Amy and anyone who works so hard in the office. I don't know if Lindsay's here or in the back. Haley, you guys do such a great job, and we're so grateful for your help. Well, our purpose as an organization is healing. We know that. Broadview's specific mission is to provide a facility that has the atmosphere for healing with the support and care from Christian Science Nursing. But what's the board's responsibility? In addition to metaphysically prayerfully supporting the work here, we also have a responsibility for the financial sustainability and the guardianship of donors' funds for the intended purpose and mission. So what do we have in the cupboard for that purpose? We have a lot of property. I think there's over 11 acres. We have an underutilized large facility. And so the question is the cup half empty or half full? Well, the answer is we have the wrong size cup. We believe the Southern California community is best served by a newer, updated model of nursing facilities. Permanent financial stability and a reallocation of the assets that better meets the needs of our Christian Science community. If our mission is to see healing and for patients to return home, it's not a matter of the number of beds we have, but increasing the turnover of those beds each month. Thus, we're carefully considering the best and highest use of this property. Now, one option is to sell the property and relocate to another space here in the same area. And if any of you have any suggestions along that line, we'd love to hear from you. Another approach would be to sell a portion of the property and relocate a new, more home-like inn, if you will, type facility on the property and sell off the remainder. Either way, Broadview is here to stay and serve the Southern California market for many generations. So when you see the convergence of reinventing the design and functionality of a facility, along with the selection of a new executive director and a sustainable approach to funding nursing care, these three things are the steps for a 100-year plan. That as second-generation Christian Scientists, we know that a loving, home-like care will be available for all of us. Ann?
Good morning. As Mike was saying, Broadview is currently a 40-bed facility with 4 wings on an 11-acre property. And the building, we have not filled that number of beds for many years. And the building is older and in need of significant maintenance and remodeling. We would rather focus our assets on serving our patients than maintaining an older building and a large piece of property. We discussed through an all-day strategic planning meeting with a consultant the right sizing to a smaller facility. Perhaps a few cottage-type buildings would be the best use of our property and the best way to serve our patients. In addition, the comment we often hear from patients is that they would rather stay home for as long as they can. And so coming to, unless they need to come to a Christian Science nursing facility while they work out their healing. So what better way than to have a home-like facility to come to? There's less of an adjustment to settle in, and an atmosphere that reflects that uninterrupted good. This has caused many Christian Science nursing facilities and other type of nursing facilities to adapt a more home-like model. Plus, a home-like environment will enable Broadview to serve its patients where they can enjoy both the privacy of their individual rooms for prayer and study, but also the communal aspects or the community with other patients and nurses, if they choose to, in a communal dining and living rooms that will be available. So in summary, a new smaller facility will better match our patient count, reduce maintenance costs, and position us to serve the large LA and Orange County area with 2 small facilities. Another benefit of this arrangement will make Christian Science nursing more conveniently located for patients and their families. And with that, George will discuss Orange County.
Thank you, Ann and Mike, and it's so great to look out and see such a wonderful group of smiling faces in this setting. I've been privileged to be on the board for, I guess this is about five or 6 years now, but I can't tell you what a privilege it is to work with our board members, the nursing staff, and all the prayerful work that's done month to month, day to day, to keep Christian Science nursing so viable and active here in Southern California. One of our biggest challenges is to meet the needs of Christian Science scientists in the field. And since we have 2 wonderful facilities, one here in Los Angeles, we have one down in northern San Diego, the Sunland Nursing Care Facility. But the distance, you've got probably 150 miles apart. One of our, as we prayerfully considered this, how to make it easier and more accessible to Christian Scientists and their families, we realized, Orange County actually has, it's probably the third highest concentration of Christian Scientists in the United States. And that fact just said, we really should be praying and looking for a facility that would meet the needs of the field. And as Mike and Ann have discussed, our facility here certainly meets the needs in northern part of our territory, certainly Los Angeles. But we started thinking about this several years ago, and I have to say it's been an interesting board experience because we had a strategic planning meeting a couple of years ago, which laid out, we really were focused on our mission, where we wanted to be, what were the important aspects of what does Christian Science nursing look like for the future? And as you all have stated, it should be a more home-like environment. This facility built 60 years ago met the needs back then. So in downsizing, we're looking at how do we downsize up here, look at Orange County as, because of the large concentration, how much better it would be for family and friends to be able to visit their loved ones in a smaller home-like, just uplifting environment. And it seemed like Orange County would make sense. And we last year at our annual meeting, we asked you for your input on that, and that certainly was evident from the results of that tally. I'd like to think that this need would be met in just a wonderful way. We've been praying along those lines. Shepherd, show me how to go, or the hillside steep, how to gather, how to sow. I will feed thy sheep. I'll listen for thy voice, lest my footsteps stray, and I'll follow and rejoice all the rugged way. So we've been listening, we've been praying. We've had, as Ann mentioned, we had a strategic planning all-day meeting a little while, probably over a year ago. And with that, we've visited, we've had several visits to Orange County, looking at a smaller home-like environment. Would we build something? Would we purchase something? This has been an ongoing process over the last year and a half. So that really is what we want to do. We want to provide the field with Christian Science care in an environment that really is 20th, 21st visionary. It's a home-like environment. It's not the way it was so institutional many years ago. So with that, we're in the process right now. It's been a real adventure, to say the least. I think we've been down to Orange County. We've looked at various options. We've consulted with Sunland. We've consulted with the Willows. We really were just trying to listen for direction and follow whatever the prayer led us to do. So we're right in that process right now. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it rolls out. So we just so appreciate your prayers on this, but we do feel that a smaller home-like environment in Orange County will be, it'll come to fruition here as we pray and going forward. So again, I'm very grateful for this opportunity and for just all your support. It's so special. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, George and Ann and Mike. I'd also like to recognize and acknowledge our other board members, Carol Carter, Barry Douglas, Dan Wood, and Keitha Walker. Thank you. These guys are really hard to control. You see, I have a very tough job. Anyway, 5-minute standing break, stretch, and we'll proceed with the second half of our program today.